Hey Titans, Mr. Cier here. I'm just showing you how to get started on your design triptych project. So we're going to go over to Illustrator. Okay, and once Illustrator opens, you're just going to go to File, New. This is a little bit more complicated than usual, so definitely pay attention to this part. When you go to File, New, this will come up. You're going to change it to your last name first. My last name is Cier. My first name is Mr. My grade is going to be 9, wink wink, and I'm going to call this D3 for the project code. Whoops, not DS, D3. That actually stands for Design Triptych because this project has 3 sections. So being that we are going to have 3 sections, we need 3 different artboards to put them on. So I'm changing the number of artboards to 3, and I'm hitting this little box with 2 boxes inside of it. That means that my 3 artboards are going to be next to each other. I want to make sure that my inches are set here, my units are inches, and all these numbers are what you see here, just these 3 numbers: spacing, width, and height. You can see that they're different than our usual things, so for this one you're not going to look up at the board. Alright, so I'm going to press OK. And then you're going to see 3 panels that are going to be, they're called artboards in Illustrator. Okay, so your next step is to go over to Google using Safari or maybe Google Chrome. And you're basically going to decide what your theme is going to be. My theme is going to be video game related things like characters or controllers, things that remind us of video games. So I'm going to look for shapes of things that I'll be able to tell what they are. So obviously I want to pick, if I'm using characters for example, I want to make sure it shows the whole character, not parts of the character with cutoffs. I need the shape of the character because ultimately we're going to be drawing these as silhouettes. And a silhouette, if we look one up, are basically the shape of the object. So you can see that most of these silhouettes are people, because that's usually what silhouette means, but it also could mean characters or animals or anything that you could tell by its specific shape, like this violin here is a silhouette, this airplane is a silhouette. So those are good things to use, things that you'd be able to draw the shape of, and that would be enough information to tell you that this is a dachshund or a dove or a flower. Okay, so it's got to be things that you can draw relatively simply. I wouldn't recommend people because, as you see here, we don't know who any of these people are. Even though there are differences in people, people all look the same, so you wouldn't really want to choose them. Like, I mean, you could tell that this person is a girl, but we don't know if that person's a celebrity. So I wouldn't pick my 10 favorite football players because they're all going to look like humans in football gear, but we're not going to be able to tell which is which. So you want to pick things that you could recognize by shape. So zoo animals, or maybe your favorite food, or maybe cars if you got cars that looked very specific, or different types of planes. Things like that that you could identify are by just shape and no details are a good thing to use. So we're not going to actually use silhouettes though. You have to use photographs or cartoons. So for example, I'm going to type in joystick because that's something that used to be used when playing video games. So I found a good picture of a joystick that I feel like the shape is going to give it away. And then I could just drag it to my desktop, or I could drag it directly into my picture. If it appears way too big, just use your selection tool to make them smaller. You can hold the shift button to keep things in proportion. And I'm just moving it, shrinking it, moving it, shrinking it until it fits somewhere on one of my artboards, which is another word for pages. So I already collected some other pictures I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using some characters that also remind me of video games, like for example, Mega Man, Mario. So once you have all 10 of your pictures, you're going to start drawing each one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show you that part now. First of all, if you look around, I've already done it. Secondly, you probably already remember how to use the pen tool, and that's mainly what you'll be using to draw these. All I am going to tell you is that once you draw them all, it should look something like this. So this is what you want to get. Basically a pileup of 10 related things that we could tell what they are by shape, and you're going to draw them using the pictures to trace them using the pen tool of Illustrator. If you need a review on how to use the pen tool in Illustrator, please look up my video, Bolger Illustrator Review, and it'll give you the basics. But I didn't want to make everybody watch all that again. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave positive feedback,